audition just like everybody else. And naturally, I would expect at least that much. So I got to cast everybody else, and then when it came down to Haji, I just told him I really would like to try this. And he wanted to hear my audition, he wanted to hear the other ladies who auditioned for the role, who were up in the front running for it, and then he still wasn't even sure that I could do it yet, so I had to record an entire episode and prove it, really. So I kind of had it harder than other actors, I guess. So that's how that worked. And then everybody else, I got to pick who I wanted, and basically my producer just has to say, okay. Or maybe for whatever reason be like, that Vic guy, he never got scheduled, and you know, not Vic, but you know what I'm saying? And there weren't any issues, but should there be a problem, like I'm concerned about this person because blah, maybe try somebody else. So it's pretty much I get to decide, and then my producer just goes, okay, go ahead. Yeah, good question. Someone else?
Actually, I have a question. For Ouran, did you not have to get Japanese approval?
We did not have to get Japanese approval.
Kicks butt. Sometimes for the shows that we do, the Japanese company that produces it would like to have some kind of control over the American version of it. So we'll have the entire show cast, or the core cast, sent over to Japan for approval. And they can approve them, but very frequently they don't. Very frequently they want 5 options for each character, and they'll pick the 3rd one down or something like that. Just because it sounds so different to them, not really speaking our language. So that can be actually kind of a difficult process sometimes.
Especially,
that happens with One Piece.
Especially because culturally there are certain sounds that they equate to certain types of characters. A sound of a voice, this high-pitched thing must mean it's this type of character. And that doesn't necessarily register to English-speaking ears. So sometimes you're like, really? Not that the actor is bad, but like, oh, that's so odd. We gotta make it work. But I didn't have to get approval.
Yes. How did you decided to continue the series along the lines of the manga? Like,
woohoo! Yay! More Ouran is a good thing. Yay! I've been very interested. I still haven't got to read the manga yet. When we were doing the show, I did not want to read it, simply because I'm not telling that story. I'm telling the anime story. And while the characters are the same, you know, if you know them both, they have to move chapters around so it flows better in a television setting. So I wanted to focus on the story I was telling. And then immediately after, I got wrapped up in the other shows I'm working on. So I look forward to finally having the opportunity to read the manga, and I know some exciting things happen based on what you spoilerific fans like to tell me. Yes, in the way back.
I was just curious. One of the insider once said that shoujo's never going to really matter much eventually in anime. I'm just wondering if you guys think that with the way Ouran is doing so well, do you think there's any chance for an actual shoujo series to eventually be on public television, on the air, and network television?
No, to be perfectly honest, I don't see that happening, and like I like shoujo. It's kind of like my favorite part of anime. I just think it's hysterical and fun, and I love dorky high school romantic comedy antics in anime. It's like my favorite. But I think that just sometimes it's hard enough the way anime looks for a Western audience to accept it, and then when you put the type of situations that you find in shoujo, I mean, we've got a host club of pretty boys and girls who pay to go see them in high school. There are too many huge cultural differences that people would have to get over, and there are things about the shows that because of television regulations, they would maybe never even be allowed to be on the air because of that, or because the girls are too voluptuous, or the 2 boy brothers like to hang on each other. It may have to go on some type of like cable channel, but I don't see it being on like USA other than Funimation channel. Yeah.
The sad truth is that broadcast is moving away from anime. There are very few anime on TV right now, and there will be even fewer in the future. They're kind of steering away from that. We've been having a lot of trouble getting things on broadcast lately, just because the channels make so much more money when they produce the things that they put on TV, because then they get all of the marketing and all the licensing from that, as opposed to putting our shows on and then we get all of that. So it's you're going to have a lot of trouble watching anime on TV for a while.
But you can watch a lot for free on Funimation.com. Hey, Funimation. Yes, right here.
To go with her, if you continue with Ouran Host Club, if you did, would you keep the same cast?
Oh yeah, I don't see any reason to change it. We don't have any situations with voice.
Except Vic.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm assuming we would, but it's all up to Japan. But you know, anything is possible, because people used to ask us a couple years ago, what if they made more Full Metal Alchemist? And I'm like, they're not gonna do that. And how many years after it ended, they're making more. And hello, it's by the same studio, Bones, get with the program, make some more.
And they really did for a long time say that was it. They
were against
refusing to think about doing more. So
It could happen. It can happen.
Yes, sir.
Actually, kind of related to that, was it kind of cool, like, here's the cast from Full Metal Alchemist, we get to do another show, was that awesome, or was it kind of like, oh, there's Vic?
I get that. You know what, to be honest, that was one of the most disappointing things for me. Like, we had this huge, not you.
I'm gonna build a hamster home.
Not you. No, sit down.
do not encourage him. Everybody sit.
Tamaki-senpai, you don't even have a hamster. No, like, so we had this big, not a release party, announcement party, right? At Anime Expo last year. It was a big deal. Funimation pulled out all the stops. They brought the entire host club. We had an awesome weekend. And so I, being the crazy otaku fan director that I am, get online because I want to hear what people have to say. And that was pretty much what they could say, like, it's just Full Metal Alchemist cast again. Ugh. And I wanted to write to them and be like, yeah, we're all in all of the shows, actually. You know, like you could call that, I mean, it's a company, exactly. And while we don't have to work just for Funimation, I mean, Vic works for ADV and he works for companies out in LA, it's like, we are almost like a company of actors, like back in the day of like old movie studios. You know, you'd only see these actors in films made by MGM. So it's kind of like that. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry that I put awesome people in these roles. I'm sorry that Lucy, Travis, and Vic are in a show together. God. I'll just go find bums off the street next time.
You know, and there's something else to consider. The reason why a lot of the cast from Ouran was in Full Metal was in Ouran is because everybody was in Full Metal Alchemist.
It's kind of a big
I mean, have you looked at the cast list? There were tons of characters. Everybody was in. You know who wasn't in that show? J. Michael Tatum.
Yeah, oh, you're right.
Greg
Clark.
played just the little serpent guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd Havercorn?
Not
I don't
in it.
think so. So what happened to that? It's just the same cast thing? It's gone. That's not even a realistic thing to say, because not only is it not the case because there's so many actors that are in Full Metal. Everybody that's ever worked at Funimation did something in Full Metal, but we just named 3 of the hosts that really didn't do anything much of in Full Metal. So, you know, and actors play different characters. I mean, you know, if you look at studios in LA that put out stuff, you'll see Johnny Bosch's name on tons of things, or Yuri Lowenthal's name on tons of things. It doesn't make it, you know, any better or worse, because they're just great actors and they're playing a different character.
But they were all awesome. So I enjoyed working with all of them.
I think Mike McFarland actually has a very good point about the whole casting the same people in shows over and over again thing. Because that is a very common complaint if you look at the forums, which honestly the forums are 0.5% of the fans, so you're going to get the people who are very, very vocal. But the way Mike puts it is, we don't complain when we see Brad Pitt play 3 different types of characters, and like we don't say I'm tired of seeing him try to be different people in different movies.
Right.
We're actors. So,
After Full Metal, I just didn't even really need to act anymore.
Right.
I was just done. That's it. It was just the pinnacle for me. I'm gonna go make hamster homes.
Question.